All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So I want to talk about what seems to be one of the hottest topics in the bodybuilding industry on social media right now, and that is the beef between Jeremy Buendia and Sergio Oliva Jr. Now, both of these two guys seem to get themselves in the middle of a lot of social media beef, and they tend to be the topic of conversation on Instagram quite often, but I never really talk about it in a video because really, I don't really ever think it's relevant. Sergio Oliva and Jeremy Buendia have had their fair share of arguments with other competitors and guys in other divisions online. But in this particular argument, I thought they brought up two very good points of discussion here. So I think the obvious point of discussion, the first one would be, are these social media beefs in bodybuilding good or bad for the sport? Because a lot of the people that were sending me the screenshots of these conversations and the back and forth between Sergio and Jeremy were saying, man, this is a disgrace. They're cussing at each other. They're talking all ghetto. This is bad for the sport. They're bad representatives, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of disagree with that. I think rivalries are good. I think heated rivalries are even better. I think it makes the sport entertaining. And I think it's good to have a back and forth between guys like this, especially when it generates a good topic of conversation. And the main argument between the two was about the addition of new divisions to bodybuilding being a good or a bad thing. Now, I believe Jeremy Buendia, he did an interview where he was talking about how bodybuilding had been on the decline for the past 8 years. And in that interview, he kind of says that men's physique, classic physique, and the bikini divisions have helped reverse that decline.
That's what revived the bodybuilding industry. Bodybuilding was dying 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago because, it wasn't accepted socially because the guys were so massive. But when the new division of men's physique and women's bikini came out,
an increased mainstream interest in bodybuilding, increasing, the number of competitors, the size of these competitions, and of course, the number of people watching the sport as a result. Now, Sergio Oliva, and I've seen this a couple times in the past, has been pretty outspoken about the fact that he doesn't really so much agree with classic physique being better than bodybuilding, or classic physique helping bodybuilding, or even classic physique really being a relevant division. I believe when Regan Grimes first announced that he was going to switch down to classic physique from men's open bodybuilding, Sergio was calling him like a bikini girl, like it was men's bikini, a bikini bitch, saying that classic physique wasn't real bodybuilding and that Regan, belongs in men's open. So this is nothing new, really. A lot of bodybuilders, especially the men's open bodybuilders, have been very vocal about the fact that they feel like classic physique isn't any type of threat to men's open, isn't helpful to men's open, and is really just another division that's going to, add money to the men's open division. Their weekend warrior argument, you could say. So in essence, the argument was that Sergio kind of felt that Jeremy Buendia was taking credit for helping increase the popularity of bodybuilding by being a men's physique champion. And Sergio, I think, took issue with that, saying bodybuilding is always going to be the top dog. It's never been on decline. Bodybuilding is always going to be the most popular division. And I agree with that to an extent. Now, whether you love or hate Jeremy Buendia, I think his response video to this beef actually had some very good points in it. He did make some very good points. He said in that video, he said, I've always been a fan of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is always going to be the number one attraction. I agree with that 100%. Then he also said he never took sole credit for helping bodybuilding become more popular. He said, the addition of these divisions is undeniable. The numbers don't lie. The numbers, from a standpoint of the number of NPC competitions, the number of entries in these NPC competitions, the number of attendees at NPC and IFBB events, the number of views on videos and live streams, and the number of followers. I mean, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but like classic physique guys, they do have millions of followers on social media, and that's something that, whether you like it or not, it's really undeniable. There are millions of fans that are following these divisions. Now, I'll go on record and say I'm not the biggest fan of men's physique. I'm not the biggest fan of Jeremy Buendia. I've seen some of the things that he said in the past. But that being said, I do think Jeremy Buendia is correct here. Men's physique has been beneficial tremendously to the mainstream appeal of bodybuilding, specifically with helping promote the NPC and IFBB, which is the main, venue, the platform for bodybuilding. They share the same platform of the NPC and the IFBB. The NPC obviously feeds into the IFBB, and the NPC having more divisions and more appeal to the mainstream is only going to help bodybuilding, since bodybuilding is the top dog of that organization. And again, the numbers just simply don't lie. I mean, even though I'm not the biggest fan of men's physique, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably aren't the biggest fans of men's physique, the numbers are there. I mean, these guys have a tremendous following. A lot of people are interested in it. And I myself, I know, dozens of guys that compete in men's physique. And I'm not talking about people that I see on social media. I'm talking about friends from high school, friends from college, just random people that I'll see posting on my Facebook or just show up in my timeline that are all of a sudden competing in men's physique that, back when I knew them in high school or college had no interest in bodybuilding or, watching the Olympia or anything like that. But all of a sudden there's this massive interest in competing and working out and competing in men's physique. So I do think it's valid to say that prior to men's physique, prior to classic physique, prior to the bikini divisions, bodybuilding was really on a decline. I mean, it's hard for me to even imagine, the state of bodybuilding prior to all these divisions. And if you think about it, Jeremy made another good point in his video. Women's bodybuilding is a perfect example. Women's bodybuilding disappeared almost entirely, but these new divisions, women's physique, figure, and bikini, are massively successful because they appeal to the mainstream. Now, I don't think that's ever going to happen with men's open bodybuilding. I don't think men's open bodybuilding will ever go away, nor do I want it to. Men's open bodybuilding, it is the pinnacle of the sport. It is what we all come to see. It is what we all enjoy talking about. And I'll be the first one to admit that as a fan of bodybuilding, when I go to an NPC show, there's 100 men's physique guys and 100 bikini girls, then only 10 bodybuilders. It is a little bit painful to sit through the bikini and sit through the, men's physique when I came to see the bodybuilding. But just because I'm not a fan of it doesn't mean there's not millions of fans of the bikini girls, millions of fans of the men's physique guys. That's bringing a tremendous amount of revenue to the sport. And Jeremy Buendia made a good point about that as well. He said the men's physique guys are kind of biting the bullet and bringing all this popularity, bringing all this money through, competition revenue, ad revenue, and all that. And all that money is going back into the bodybuilding class. The bodybuilders are still getting all the money, or at least a majority of it. I mean, I've been going to the Arnold Classic Expo for about 10 years now, and I can say just in that 10-year span of time, I've seen the demographic of people that's going to these expos and waiting in these lines change dramatically. I mean, the first year I went, almost the entirety of all the lines, it was just all guys. It was guys everywhere, guys waiting to meet these bodybuilders. But now you don't really see that. You see girls waiting in line to meet guys like Jay Cutler because they got interested in working out and fitness through bikini or one of these other divisions. And now there's a whole new fan base for the sport that didn't really exist before. I mean, back, in the early 2000s, you were not seeing a bunch of girls waiting in line to meet a Jay Cutler or a Kai Green or a Ronnie Coleman. You just were not seeing that. But now because of their interest in these new divisions, they become aware of who these guys are, and now they want to meet them. And now there's this new, they watch these competitions too. These girls are watching the Mr. Olympia now. These girls are interested in it. So that's my opinion on the matter, guys. I think Jeremy Buendia, at the end of the day, the point that he was trying to make, I think he's absolutely right. I think Sergio Oliva is also entitled to his opinion as well. I think these social media beefs, for the most part, are good and interesting and mostly good for bodybuilding. Now, sometimes, obviously, they do cross the line where they start talking about each other's families and girlfriends and talking about fighting each other, and they start cussing up a storm about things that aren't really even relevant to bodybuilding. That kind of stuff, I think there's really no place for that. But, impassioned arguments about the sport of bodybuilding itself, I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I think there definitely is a place for that on social media, so I have no problem with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Buendia versus Sergio Oliva. Who do you think is right? Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Trying the Power, signing out.